What's up, Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. The Three Stooges are back. I am very happy to be back after a week off. I didn't watch your guys' show last week. I was trying to annoy you in the comments. Thank you for ignoring me.
We never ignore comments here.
No, you should ignore mine. I was trying to stir the pot very badly. I'm Kyle Smith. I'm here with Kyle West. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing good. Ready to relax and chit-chat about some Vikings football.
Same. It's been a long day at work. How are you? Adam Carlson is here.
You know, I don't know how I'm doing, but that's okay sometimes.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm trying to remember. Is this? Did you have the haircut last episode, Adam?
I think so.
Did you? I don't remember. Well, I still want to mention it again. You got the haircut. You look good, sir.
Well, I did get the email today that my hair was accepted by Wigs for Kids, and it will be making a nice wig for some kid that needs some hair. So it makes me very happy.
Very
Adam
cool.
Carlson's just a good human. It's very nice of you, man.
Yep.
I'm very happy about that.
And it is, of course, to honor my late father, who had the most gorgeous silver ponytail of all time.
Nice. There's something about a nice, well-aged ponytail. It's respectful.
Especially since my dad was much more Native American looking than I am. His ponytail looked amazing.
Yeah. I think that's a distinct feature. I have some very much Native American blood in my mom's side of the family, and that distinction I always remember was the dark hair, even especially the males into the aging. I'm like, your hair is still jet black. So I don't know.
He had jet black hair when he was younger, and then just snap, there wasn't. It was silver, like silver.
What's up, Jake, the Minnesota sports fan? How are you? Thanks for joining us on a Friday night. Sorry it's so late. Kyle have to work the second shift, so
Yeah.
I work today, and we both deal with public service, and it is quite taxing sometimes. We will leave it at that. Hope you're doing good, though. We're going to talk about the title of the show real quick and say we were saddened to hear about former first-round pick of the Vikings in 2020. It kind of gets overshadowed because that was the Justin Jefferson year, but Jeff Gladney has passed away at a very, very young age. I have his Wikipedia up here. He was 25 years old. May 30th this year, he died in Texas in a car accident. This is a theme here lately. It's weird. Dwayne Haskins, and then Marion Barber was found dead recently, and now Jeff Gladney. A series of kind of household names. It's pretty tragic, but we wanted to touch on him because he was a part of the Vikings organization. I'm not going to touch on the negative stuff because he was found not guilty of those charges. We're not going to bring those into light, but first round pick, he had 81 total tackles in his career, all with the Vikings, 3 passes defended and a forced fumble. And he was a part of that COVID season, which was kind of wonky, but he showed some promise on the field. And glad, in my personal opinion, that things were either dropped, found not guilty, or that he got his name sort of cleared before that happened, because that certainly would have left things.
I was glad he was getting a second chance with Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, for a player that's really talented and not knowing a lot of the circumstances around what kept him out of the NFL and why the Vikings ended up releasing him, it's hard to judge a player without knowing anything that's really real about them. We can hear what the media says, we can hear one side of it, but it's not very often we actually get to hear the player's side of what happens. And although like I said, I have no idea what happened, the fact that he had another opportunity to follow his dream of playing in the NFL is just amazing. And I'm glad I hope more people can get that opportunity, even if they do make mistakes in their life.
I'm glad publicly that he had those charges dropped. He does have a 1-year-old son, which is very sad. I have a son myself, and I don't want to leave him early and like that. I know it's bad for his family. We just want to say rest in peace. We're Viking fans. You were tired of this team, and we do recognize and remember you. But to Adam's point, I mean, I just say we were just talking about how much of a good human you are. I think we all should implore that ideology of, if you don't know all of the facts, don't place judgment immediately. there's this weird thing in this time and era in civilization where we have to pick a side immediately, or at least that's how a lot of it's ingrained. And I like that you didn't do that. And I like that you brought that to light, that it's like sometimes you just have to be back and maybe you don't get to pick a side. And I think that's a very smart and fair and mature way to look at it. So I'm glad you said that. I totally agree.
I know a lot of people are excited to see Arizona with him in their lineup because, like you said, he is a talented player. And I know that the Cardinals did have a plan for him when they brought him in. And Minnesota, fortunately, was able to come out and get a nice young secondary. So even though they used a high pick on him, I don't think it's going to end up hurting too much. And under this new regime in Minnesota, I mean, who knows? The sky can be the limit for some of these players. The Vikings don't have their, I'll say quarterback whisperer, but Mike Zimmer, I don't know, man. The more we hear about Mike Zimmer, the more I really start to wonder about any of this.
There was another report that came out just kind of about what the feelings were like walking around. I always want to say Winter Park. You know how difficult it is for me to not say Winter Park, Adam? What's the name of the new facility they're at? TCO?
Well, you can call it Viking Lakes, which is what they call it.
Orthopedic sponsored. It's sponsored by.
You call it the TCO Performance Center.
We'll go with that's TCO what I remember. Performance Center. Well, there's another report coming out around certain coaches walking around like their buttholes are really tight.
Chris Boyd, man.
Chris Boyd does not hold back. And you know what's crazy? Whether you agree with that statement or not, or you think he should say it or not, the fact that it's out there is just it's refreshing. And I'll tell you right now, I saw on Coach Zimmer's daughter's Instagram today. They made him a cookie cake. Today was his birthday, so I'll take all the hate in the world. Happy birthday, Mike Zimmer. I still love you.
Yeah.
I'm glad he gets to hang out with his family and see the grandkids. But I told her that day. I was like, hey, you got a fan of that guy in Charlotte. Like, I just want to say happy birthday. Plus, your twins are really cute. I have kids. I understand.
I will stick by my bold statement that I said the other day in the chat. If Mike Zimmer was the head coach of the 2009 Minnesota Vikings, they beat the Saints and they go on and they have a good shot at winning that Super Bowl, because I don't think that a younger, more fired up Mike Zimmer makes those kind of mistakes to allow that to happen at the end of that game. Like, you do not have that extra guy on the field on defense. Zimmer absolutely does not let that happen. And he for sure would have been a better coach at that point than what Brad Childress was for this team. I really wish we could have had
something on that too, of why I think it's a wonderful point, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
You notice how they said, I'm trying to put these comments up. Sorry, I distracted. The reports came out that he wasn't a fan of Cousins. He's like, I don't want to go after that guy. Do you think he might have liked Brett Favre a little bit? He fucking loved that guy. Everybody loves Brett Favre. That would have changed the dynamic. Now, this does go into the favor of, well, that kind of means he was an asshole. Yeah, well, it's well documented. I mean, all you have to do is watch that Hard Knocks clip on YouTube. Yeah, of course he's a dick. He's under the Bill Parcells tree. He's a yeller, a screamer, and a perfectionist. But I agree with you 100% because he would have let Favre do his thing, and he would have had more trust in him. But
Definitely. What happened is what everybody seems to do. They overcorrected. They went from a locker room that was absolute chaos and uncontrolled and everything, and they brought in this staunch, just very organized, very in control head coach. And what they got exactly what they wanted, or what they thought they were going to get. The problem is that it was a little bit too much. So now they're trying to find that middle ground, and so far I'm not sure where Kevin O'Connell sits on this. He seems to be a lot more towards the Brad Childress and the Mike Zimmer.
We're still so early. It's tough to say with Kevin O'Connell.
Well, Mike Zimmer's not taking his crew out to Top Golf.
Well, no, right, but I was just gonna. That's a major difference in philosophy. But we're already seeing. There's been his latest press conference. He was asked about the injury that Emir Smith-Marset suffered, and he's already, you can see him turning from, hey, we're gonna turn, we're gonna take the team out and we're gonna go golfing, to, well, it's a lower leg injury, and can you explain further? It's a lower leg injury. So you can see, so like, he'll, when the time comes, like, we're gonna turn it on and we're gonna get all that coach speak is gonna come out as well too.
This is a nice segue, though, because I wanted to go on a rant, and since it's here and the opportunity to segue is, I'm going to jump on it. So I found some more stuff. Found a Facebook comment today, and there's tons of replies under there that I just refuse to read because I'm a dick. But some guy on Score North's page said,
Oh, no.
He would. Oh, yeah. Commenter said, I'd rather have Mac Jones than Kirk Cousins right now. And I have to preface this. You guys know if you've listened to this show.
You mean sexually?
He likes the young ones, I said, from a guy that's only had one season, he had 22 touchdowns and 13 picks. That's respectable. But let's take this into context. Now, give me a little bit of time, guys, because it's just going to be a little long-winded. But 16 games, Kirk Cousins, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. When's the last time we had a Viking quarterback who had 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions? Was his name Brett Favre?
I was going to say, without looking, probably Favre.
It was Brett Favre in the 2009 miraculous season. So
he's no Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, no, Chris Sims. He'll say he's not a Ryan Tannehill. But here's the point I'm trying to make. I have firmly been entrenched in this, and I don't know that I'll ever come back. As wins are a stat, but I don't agree with them, and I think they don't go to the individual. I would love to have seen Brett Favre on the 2020 Vikings team. Now, could you account Favre for maybe 1 or 2 more wins because he's just Brett Favre? Sure. But those same
This actually brings up something interesting, because I was scrolling on Twitter today, and I saw a fan saying that he had a bold take that Sue, it was more important to the Buccaneers than Gerald McCoy because Tampa Bay won more games when Sue was there compared to when McCoy was there.
Who said this?
This was on Twitter, scrolling. And there were a lot of people agreeing. And it's not like, if I were to rank them, I'd say, they're fairly equal, maybe with a small nod to McCoy, but McCoy was on such a more underappreciated and undermanned team. There were so many more pieces to this recent Buccaneers team that you can't judge them based on wins, especially defensive tackles. It's like, sure, Aaron Donald is amazing, but if you put Aaron Donald on a team that has absolutely no offense, they're not winning.
I agree with you, Jake, too. Moss did help Culpepper, and that's what the team's for. I'm sure Jefferson is going to help, especially in this offense, to make Kirk look even better, but somebody's got to throw that ball to him. And I'm not taking anything away from yards after the catch. I'm not talking about route running. I'm talking about who delivers the ball accurately. And accuracy is a big thing, and that's one of the reasons I love Kirk. That dude's accurate. He's not going to wow you with his athleticism. But back to the Favre point is, I get frustrated with this because, yes, that team went 12-4. That team also had Jared Allen and the Williams wall and great linebackers. And not to say we don't have a good linebacker or two and some good there, but this defense is not the 09 defense. Not at all. And I get frustrated with swapping it out because you guys salivated and rested his feet. Favre had this great. That was the best statistical season ever. Cousins just had that in the same amount of games because he missed one game. I don't count the loss there either because Mannion lost that game. Since you want to lay the stats on the quarterback only. And I think about the things that we've said 100 times on the show, the Detroit collapse last year. Kirk's not on the field. The kicker missed 2 or 3 games last year where it was, I blame him. Comes down to crunch time, you need to make the field goal. That's not Kirk's fault. And that's 3 or 4 wins right there. And you're in the same conversation as Brett Favre. But nobody wants to have that conversation because of a name or because of a status. And it's what did you win? I can't believe a guy said, I'll take the guy who's been in the league 1 year who had Nick Saban and now Bill Belichick as the greatest coach ever. You're like, I'd rather have that kid. Are you shitting me? I would love to see Mac Jones on the 2021 Vikings.
The number of fans who would take a young, unproven quarterback over Kirk Cousins kind of baffles me.
Me too.
I understand they want someone young and cheap. That's been the formation for some good rosters in the past. I mean, you got these quarterbacks on rookie contracts; they're just balling, but you're not going to get such a polished product. The Vikings are paying for Cousins because they know what Cousins has to offer, and I think that we've seen the floor of Cousins, but I don't think we've seen the ceiling.
We haven't. There's no way. There's no way.
Have we forgotten? We haven't. Have we forgotten as Vikings fans already what it was like to not know from season to season who you're going to have as a starting quarterback?
That's all I've known since I became a fan.
Correct. I look at the Indianapolis Colts right now, post Peyton Manning, and okay, the Andrew Luck retired on them unexpectedly. That happens. I get it. But you look at, I don't want to do that. Hey, we're on the Carson Wentz train. We're on the Matt Ryan train. We're calling Carson Palmer out of retirement. Like, can we not do that? I don't want to do the every year a new starting quarterback thing. And I know to some fans, they say that's a loser mentality. Oh, you're just settling for Kirk Cousins. Yeah, I'm settling for a quarterback that does not miss games. Not really. I know he had the one last season, but Kirk doesn't get injured. He's not out for long stretches. He is statistically really consistent. And I believe that you look at the absolute mess that was around him underneath the previous regime. Head coach who didn't want him. You had a front office who was not on the same page with the staff. The fact that they won as many games as what they did is proof as to how good Kirk Cousins is. Okay, you look at what they're building right now between him and Kevin O'Connell. They were at a baseball game, and it looked like they were talking about football. It looked like they were talking about like different football formations and stuff.
Shout out to Adam Thielen's softball thing.
Yeah, that's exciting. We should be excited for what these guys can bring.
Well, here's the other thing, too. I was talking about my time as a Viking fan, right? I came around, for you guys that haven't heard that on the show, I came around for the Favre year, and I've been completely invested ever since. I joined the show not too many years after that. I remember the Christian Ponder 3-13 year, and one of those 3 wins came off of Carolina missing a field goal. And we were trash. You remember that season? The Vikings were like a couple of points away from being the worst defense in Vikings history.
Oh yeah.
They were fucking terrible. And it was awful to watch. And then we go from him to Matt Castle. And you're like, well, he won 11 games with Bill Belichick. Yeah, well, you won 5 for us. So that's not the answer. And then
but Case Keenum's better than Kirk,
That's exactly where I'm leading to, Adam. Thank you for bringing him up. The guy that can't beat out Taylor Heineke in Washington and sat behind Baker Mayfield somehow is going to get you to the Super Bowl. And this is the perfect storm I was talking about. This is the other thing. I didn't even mention Sam Bradford. That's funny. I forgot that he was a Viking.
You forget.
You think about this, right?
A healthy Bradford's amazing, though.
Dude, if that's one of those players, if you go back and say, I want to change his frail body to see what happens, dude, so accurate. He threw pretty balls, man. But I brought this up in that comment thread because I only commented like twice, and it was like, if wins are everything, then Matt Stafford, don't talk about him. Eli Manning, don't talk about him. Don't talk about Joe Namath either. Well, they all won Super Bowls. I'm like, how did they win Super Bowls? Do you think maybe the team around him was fucking awesome? Maybe. I think of Eli Manning, I think of maybe like a glorious catch here or there, but I think about that defense that was just wrecking shop on Tom Brady. Matt Stafford got to be on from Space Jam, the Monstars. He got to be on the Monstars team. He was dog shit in Detroit. Everybody dogged him. And I don't think it's fair to give Kirk that kind of hate. I'm not a Kirk stan. I've said it since he got here. I didn't want him. But the more that I've had time to watch, and you got to support the quarterback no matter who he is, dude, the unfair just narrative, and it's so lazy to me. That's the point I want to make here. These guys that say this they're just lazy. They've heard it somewhere, and they're like, well, that's what he is. I'm like, you have not watched a single snap of Vikings football.
We've mentioned this so many times, too, that Kirk has, of course, we've all heard the stuff about him and Zimmer not being on the same page, not being in meetings together until, like, way down the road and everything. But the fact that he's had to change the offense so many times with so many coordinators, so much terminology, so many playbooks, the fact that he's been able to be as effective as he has with all this changes and turmoil, not having control of the huddle, having a leash on him to contain the offense, it's been kind of disgusting in some ways. And Kirk, I'm wondering if right now that Kevin O'Connell's there, an offensive mind that's being able to develop a nice playbook, are we finally going to get to see Kirk Cousins go out and be Kirk Cousins?
I think so. Kevin O'Connell has already hinted in his press conferences that the quarterbacks in our system, and he named Kirk Cousins, have freedom in this offense to call plays, change plays, call timeouts, do all that different stuff that Kirk was not allowed the opportunity to do it. And I know people say, and we did it too, because we get caught up in the middle of the season. Well, Brett Favre would have just changed the play up on the field. Yeah, he would have. That's also unfair because, hey, Kirk doesn't have the same personality as Brett Favre.
No.
And that's okay. They're two different players. They're two different people.
Here's the other thing, too. I want to go back and read this. Like, yes, I agree with you, Jake. Stafford is better than the Quagga. That's kind of my point was, and I'm not poo-pooing on you for that. I'm just saying, in general, these idiots on the internet, Stafford's always been good, but the team's been dog shit. And you don't think, like, here's another thing about it that this is where I take Kirk Cousins' side, and I just want to hug him. Clint Kubiak deserves a slap in the face 400 times. He was not ready, and I'm not blaming him because he grew up under your dad. He's won a Super Bowl. Maybe you got some of those juices, but it didn't work. I watched that game, highlights of that game on the tour today, and it pissed me off so bad. I'm sure I yelled at the public for no reason when I got to work. That Cleveland game last year, 14-7. That was the most pathetic offensive showing I've seen in a long time, and they'll blame Kirk Cousins for that game every time. You didn't score enough points. Clint Kubiak sucked as an offensive coordinator. He had some weeks where it just worked, but I hate to be that guy and shit on him all the way. But like the Green Bay game, the players just played good. They just played good. It just so happens the plays that you called were good enough work, and a little luck happened, like that Rodgers bomb that gave Kirk the ball back. He had a moment where he's like, well, I get to drive down the field now. You usually do this. But that guy doesn't get a lot of the blame, and he sucked at his job. And it's just like Kirk shows up, and I agree right here. Where was it at? Kirk's good, but he's not a leader. He's not a vocal leader. He's not an hoorah guy. But I guarantee when he goes out on the field, and especially like practice, you're like, yeah, there ain't nobody beating that dude. I think he's more of a lead by example guy rather than a vocal guy. Because when I hear him do those like ramping people up before games, like the 2018 season, I'm like, oh, dude, he's so corny. But get out, turn on the tape from the Saints game at the playoff. Like that was the tape that I want to show everybody that talks shit about Kirk Cousins. It says they had no business winning this game, and he's a major part. Adam Thielen fumbles like the first snap of the game. It was Cook almost fumbled a couple times. It's like, nope. When he has a good defense and a line that's palpable, you're not going to beat San Francisco. You're probably not going to beat Tampa Bay that year, but you can compete and be one of the top 8 to 6 teams in the league. And I think Kirk can take you there. And to your point, Kyle, do we want to be top 8 or 6, or do you want to just rent out a quarterback and be like, no, it's just being a loser? There's only one quarterback under 25 that I want right now that's still not on a full deal. His name is Lamar Jackson. That's it. I know Patrick Mahomes has a new deal. I don't want to pay Josh Allen that kind of money, even though he's wonderful. There's only one guy. That's a completely different quarterback than Kirk Cousins.
Everyone wants Patrick Mahomes. I want Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, of course I do.
We act like it's so easy. Oh, well, the Vikings, if you just tank, if you just suck this year, and if you win like 3 games, you get Patrick Mahomes. Do you really? No, it's not that easy.
Sometimes you get a quarterback that the Jets get, We still don't know what they got.
Baker
look
Mayfield.
At Jacksonville. Jacksonville supposedly got the second coming of Peyton Manning, and he looked terrible last year. Now, granted, Jacksonville is like the Southern Detroit.
Yeah, and that was also the absolute worst set of circumstances, and maybe potentially one of the.
I am excited to see him get Etienne back, though.
Yeah,
I think Doug Peterson would be a good little rejuvenation for that team, but yeah, he had Urban.
Are you going to go as far as AJ? Are you going as far as AJ Hawk and picking him for the Super Bowl?
Kyle, come on. You know what? If you had $1,000 to piss away, like say it was just a coupon, you could never get cash for it, you can't trade it in for anything. It says you have to bet this on sports. That's probably like the outlandish. Yeah, I don't know, Jags. You would get the return on the investment however many millions of times, but dude, they're not even going to win that division, much less the Super Bowl. It's so bad. And you know what? They could be good in a couple of years. Who knows? The NFL's wild. They went to the AFC Championship with Blake Bortles. I've seen crazier shit happen, but
I still like Trevor Lawrence. I'm nowhere
I love
near
him.
ready to give
I
up
love
on
him.
Trevor
I hope
Lawrence.
he does well.
I want to see him do good. I think the more young, good rookie quarterbacks the NFL has, the better the product is in general.
Jake has a good question. We did cover this before, but we will talk about it again because you're awesome for being here on a Friday night at 11 p.m. I default this to Adam Carlson because he's my...
By the way, the Jaguars are plus 9,000 to win the Super Bowl if you're a betting person.
There you go.
I should put like $20 on it just to see what happens.
If they win, you get 1,800.
It's not bad. Yeah, Adam, what do you think? Well, Jake wanted to ask. He said he's been out for a couple weeks, but Adam explained this. Right? If he doesn't mind explaining it again, doing more of a 3-4. Now they will do some other concepts that might switch to 4-3, but the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, this is quite interesting because I'm not sure they have the best personnel yet for the defensive line with the big bodies. I don't know much about Harrison Phillips, but I have seen that they've got the linebacker grouping. Honestly, an ideal linebacker grouping for a 3-4 with highly athletic rushers on the edge. I mean, Hunter and Smith are going to be a combo that if they can stay healthy, they're going to be among the top in the league as far as pressures, and there's absolutely no question there. Then in the middle, you got two of the best tacklers in the league doing their thing with Hicks and Kendricks, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing there. But I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to social media. A former Viking's been hanging around there near Viking Lakes, and it's interesting.
If he wanted to come,
and that's a big fellow that might be able to help out a little bit in that defensive front.
I would not be upset if he wanted to come back on the cheap.
We're talking about
my favorite. Yeah.
We got it in the chat. Linval Joseph. I would love Linval back on this team. Even we know he's a few years older. We know it would be as a rotational guy, but come on, man. We all love Linval, right?
Yeah, every time I see him that meme with those like pixelated glasses and he has that mask on at the Eagles game when he ran that one back. That's the best thing I've seen in a long time. We love that dude. Big goon.
Having extra big bodies there to fill out that roster. Honestly, it's a bit surprising he hasn't found another gig yet. But then again, we've seen a couple stars. Like I know a lot of Vikings fans are still pounding the table for Treader. Haven't heard anything really about him. Anthony Barr still, I don't think, has gotten a sniff. I haven't heard of a visit. Have you guys?
I've heard nothing.
And I'm looking at.
I've heard a little bit more that the Cowboys are the best fit, and I've heard that a few times now, but I haven't heard anything concrete.
I was looking at Sheldon Richardson too. He is a free agent, and I'm sure he'll get signed closer to the season. But it's another guy, like the Linval role. Like, hey, bring him in. I loved Sheldon Richardson while he was here.
I would love seeing Sheldon Richardson as a defensive end. That to me is just interesting.
What do you think, Bronx? Should we sign him? Yep. He says yes. Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Jake. Barr could be the guy that gets picked up if somebody goes down. Yeah, I feel bad for him, man. I think his career.
But it's such a dive
for the,
because he was getting offered such crazy contracts from the Jets, and then Minnesota matched it, and he got a lot of money. And then all it took was this short little tenure in Minnesota, where honestly, statistically, he had a very good season in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Yet he finds himself unsigned.
It's got to be that knee, man. That arthritis in the knee. That shit's never going away. I feel bad for him. I mean, he's been well compensated being a first round top 10 linebacker, but
you got to look at it this way too. For Minnesota, I mean, if you sign Anthony Barr, what do you do with him? He becomes an edge rusher, but at this point, you don't start him in front of Hunter or Smith.
Nope.
Oh, no way.
He could be the hybrid too. You know, he's a linebacker at heart, and he could rotate behind Hicks, Kendricks, or whoever the other linebacker would be. Yeah, he's going to play a backup role if you ask me. I mean, I'm not starting him over those guys.
Yeah, he'd be a backup situational player, and you can't pay someone a large amount of money to get that done. And I don't know. To me, I enjoyed Barr's time in Minnesota, but yeah, it's
The ship may have sailed. Or if you're talking about Barr, what's his name? 3-4. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
he
fully.
was, and
also
that's
was
why a lot of
running back before
that's
he
why a lot of
became a
Vikings
linebacker.
fans were really surprised when Minnesota took him in the draft, because they didn't know whether they were going to move him to edge on the defensive line or play him as a linebacker. And honestly, when I was doing a lot of my research, I never even thought about playing him in any position other than an edge rushing linebacker. And when Minnesota drafted him, I was a bit baffled.
And that's what I was about to say to piggyback on that. He's a straight up pass rusher, and that linebacker role or label or body or whatever, he would be great in those situations. But is he willing to say, okay, this would be my 9th year in the league, had a little bit of injuries, I'm willing to slide into that, rotational role, because he could find that for 3 or 4 more seasons until he wants to retire. But I don't know if he's there yet. And by all means, if you can find someone to pay you, go out and get paid. But I think he's been well compensated. I think it's that time, because you're right, Adam. He statistically had a good season, but I just saw the Linval picture up there. That's amazing. But yeah, that knee really bothers me for him, because it's, arthritis is not going to go away, and if that flares up in a game, that could take you out immediately, and you're not going to play the rest of the game. So
yeah, another former Viking that isn't getting a lot of sniffs, or that I've been hearing nothing about, is Kyle Rudolph, and he's a guy that if you can bring in on a cheaper contract and be able to have as a backup for depth or something, I feel like he'd be a real good target for Minnesota.
If you're Tampa Bay, don't you want him as a Gronkowski backup?
Well, right now, Gronk still hasn't said he's returning, right?
He's going to play with Joey Burrow.
Oh, yeah?
I'm pretty sure.
Really?
I'll make the yeah. He said it. He said something on the internet too, but I was like, I'd love to catch Joey Burrow's great balls. And let's see.
Oh boy,
Rob Gronkowski.
I am a little surprised, Adam. Not so much with Anthony Barr. I do think that you kind of look at the injury history, and he's kind of declined a little bit. And
but last year was such a good season for him.
It is, but I do understand why he's still sitting out there. I would have thought maybe Kyle Rudolph, and I didn't follow him too closely with the Giants.
That was a bust year.
I believe he was injured, though. Correct?
Yeah.
I still believe he can produce in the red zone. So you would think someone would be calling him up going, hey, we want you for cheap. You're going to be our backup too, but you're going to be a red zone threat for us.
Do you think Barr's not getting sniffs because his agent expects a bigger contract?
Potentially.
Could be it.
Because it really is these agents trying to work their players into getting big deals. And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I was kind of disappointed that D.D. Westbrook came to Minnesota for a workout. And I guess Minnesota offered him a deal, and he declined it because he didn't feel like it was enough of a deal. That's the rumor that was going around.
And they ultimately ended up signing, what's the guy's name? Albert something?
Yeah.
Albert who?
Wilson.
Hainsworth?
Is it Albert Wilson?
There we go. Vikings signed receiver 3 days ago, Albert Wilson. Looking at his stats, 2021, 213 yards, 25 receptions. Would he be doing return duties? Yeah. Longest pass play. He still holds several GSU records, including most touchdown receptions, longest pass play, and longest punt return. So
he's only returned, I think, 4 punts as a pro, though. So I don't see him being competition there. He's a smaller receiver. What is it, 5'9"?
This is a camp. I mean, this is a training camp.
5'9".
Right?
This might be the comp for the Amir Smith-Marset injury. That's what it is.
That's what I'm thinking, is that he's there to fill that role for now.
Yeah.
Trying to see his.
I think they got, without having the roster in front of me, 11 to 12 receivers, I think, is what they're currently carrying. And you're probably looking at, in this offense, I'm going to guess they're probably going to keep 6. I'm going to go with 6 receivers on the 53 this year, based on probably right. Based on the personnel packages that you're keeping. So you can do the math. We know who's going to be at the top. I think Justin Jefferson is going to make the roster. I think he's probably a shoe-in. So you look at Jefferson, Thielen, Osborne, Amir Smith when he's healthy. Who am I forgetting? Who's 5? Did we draft? No, we drafted a running back, correct?
A tie, something, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Forget.
So you're looking at maybe 2 positions that you've got a number of guys that you're trying to fit in there.
BC and the Vikings are kind of loaded at receiver right now because people are still forgetting about BC.
I was going to say, we really don't know much about BC Johnson coming off that injury. Where is he sitting?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on a lot of those.
I got a lot of hopes for him, and he didn't do anything. Ugh.
Yeah,
him and his shoes, man. But I do want to mention one thing real quick, because the NFL did increase the number of players that are going to be allowed to be kept on practice squads.
Oh,
so now with COVID and everything, and they've increased the number of times those players can be elevated to the main roster. So expect Minnesota to hold on to a few more players, not have to subject so many on to other teams on a regular basis, be able to hold them, but still, I expect the rotation again. Players getting cut and signed back to the practice squad to be able to hold on to another player or two for emergency situations. All in all, I think this is a better situation for pretty much every NFL team, because not only does it allow more players to have an opportunity to get seen in this league, but it allows for more reserves in case of incidents where we saw, like, where the Ravens got decimated by COVID.
Right. Hey, we're getting closer to the thing I talk about. Any opportunity I can in the off season, we need to increase the roster size from 53 to at least a 55-man roster, minimum 55, with all of them being
dressed on game day.
All of them.
I still don't understand why players don't get dressed on game day.
I'm telling you, it goes all the way back to the early days in the 60s where it was a competition. It was strictly based on a competition and making it more of an even playing field. It's a rule that has no basis in 2020. There is no reason for us to have, that as a rule. But we need larger rosters, and we need to have them all active on game days, because I'm telling you, there are guys who could be a specialist, that role, that kick return, that punt returner, who could contribute to teams that don't get the opportunity. And you see this in the XFL or the USFL, where you see guys who get it and they go out there and they prove that they can play, and all they need is that opportunity. And I don't know why the NFL is so stingent on not letting more guys have that opportunity.
Yep, 100% agree, and it'll take something negative happening, just about everything.
I really thought that with COVID that would have been something that would have came out of it, and we got closer. We're getting closer. We're letting more players on the practice squad. We're letting veterans go on the practice squad, which I actually kind of like that as well too.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
We were talking about roster moves too. The Vikings put Kenny Willekes on injured reserve right now. Is that right?
Yeah, he was released and he cleared waivers and came back with an injury designation.
Yeah, a lot of people were pissed about that. Who did they sign in his place?
Albert Hainsworth.
was that the guy? I thought that was for the Smith-Marset injury. Somebody else they signed, right?
They signed Wilson for that. And they cut AJ Rose.
That's right. That's what I was thinking about. I was like, somebody else is gone. Yeah, that was
a surprise, but
it's not. That Vikings
back room.
He'd have been fun in preseason, but
I know.
He was practice squad at best, and that he probably knew that was his limit with this roster when he looked at who was on it.
Dude, I'm super stoked for that North Carolina running back. He is super fast.
Yeah, they have a plan. They have a plan for the kid that they drafted, and I know that means that you got to move on from AJ Rose, who flashed. He's shown potential, but that's just what happens when you change out regimes who actually know what they're doing and have a plan in place.
So who's that defensive end the Vikings just signed? I don't have that in front of me.
That's who I was thinking of too. Damn it! Hold on.
That's what I thought you were Googling.
Oh, I'm doing my own personal show.
The team never really announced it. I believe that it was announced from someone who saw it on the waiver wire list, or on the transaction list by the NFL.
Jonathan Bullard. He was with the Falcons for a while, and people are like, "Who the fuck is that guy?" And we're like, "Yeah, Kenny Willekes is on injured reserve." So brought in.
Yeah, so he's probably that plug-in player for him, and it looks like Minnesota does want to do that as far as when a player becomes unavailable, they just kind of bring in a placeholder for them. That's what it seems like right now.
Well, makes sense to me. Sometimes I've never understood, like, oh, we have a linebacker that goes down with an injury in training camp, and we signed an extra long snapper. Like, what? Where'd that come from? So I actually like the idea of, hey, a defensive end goes down. We're going to bring in another defensive end to replace him with. Like, oh, hey, we're replacing one guy's reps with another guy's reps. We're not arbitrarily adding another tight end or something.
Yep, Jonathan Bullard. That's who I was trying to think of that whole time. Forgot about AJ Rose. So signed Albert Wilson on May 27th, waived AJ Rose, signed linebacker Brian Asamoah with the draft pick, so he is officially signed. And then 29th, the most recent transaction we talked about, Kenny Willekes on injured reserve.
I was looking at the roster the other day. Do you know who's no longer with us? Chad Beebe is no longer a Minnesota Viking.
He's a free agent.
He is a free agent.
Here we go.
Dan Chisena isn't, though. He's still here.
He's still here.
I was trying to talk Smith into changing the title of this episode to G. Willekes.
We got to save that for later. Oh, man. That's funny. That's a good one. I told Adam he's the king of puns on the show. No. That I want to use that later. Man. I was like, damn, that's so much better because it sucks that Gladney passed. I was like, I just wanted to talk about it, like just to get it out. It's recent news, but I was like, damn it, that is a great pun.
Adam, do you remember Jamar Johnson? Do you remember the wide receiver, Jamar Johnson? That was one of those guys that you were just always waiting for to break. Oh, he's going to break through, and he's just going to be the next stud receiver for the Vikings. And then he had like a thumb injury, and they just released him. And then I don't even know whatever happened to the rest of it.
You know what that reminds me of? When you and I were excited about Bradley Randall.
Oh, yeah. It's that time of year where you can fall in love with a player that's just not even going to make the practice squad.
Well, this is a good segue to what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fall in love. I'm not going to fall in love with any player. You know what I'm glad for? I'm glad Zadarius Smith isn't practicing and injuring himself. I hope Danielle Hunter's out there taking a rest. Chill your bodies out, sir.
Props to
Chill
the team.
them out.
I wanted to mention, I forgot that as well, too. I like the way they're taking a more proactive approach for some of these guys. Booth, they're letting Andrew Booth just kind of like, hey, ease yourself into it. Like, we are a long ways away from football right now. Don't push it. Don't get re-injured. Don't Greg Childs yourself on the sideline and get injured.
We got to give some props to Andrew DePaulo. We have to. Because at the Adam Thielen charity softball game, he hit 3 home runs.
I'm pulling that up right now, and I was going to brag on KJ Osborne, but talk about Andrew DePaulo. Let's hear it.
3 home runs at a charity baseball game. That man can hit a baseball and snap a football. Makes me wonder if he can hit a baseball by swinging between his legs backwards. I'd watch that try to happen.
Yeah, love to see that happen. KJ Osborne had another stellar finish. I was there for the Carolina game, the walk-off touchdown. Took the helmet off in honor of Diggs. It was ice cold. But he had the walk-off the other night, and the offense won 17-14, which is a lot of fun. But Adam Thielen hosted a softball game the other day, which is really cool.
Speaking of Diggs, here's an interesting fact. Here's how the NFL could have maybe turned out. Supposedly, Buffalo was interested originally in signing Antonio Brown, and that deal did not go through, and they ended up with Stephon Diggs instead.
Oof.
Could you imagine? Yeah.
I'm on Vikings.com, and they're going through. They have like KJ Osborne holding a trophy, Thielen Foundation. They have their numbers from their jerseys on these softball jerseys. And there's just a Twitter thing in there. It's like, Adam Thielen, let's go. Greg Joseph retweets it, goes, if only specialists were invited. Oh, that's awesome. I'm like, yeah, it's $30 a ticket. Hit up the agent. We'll get you in there. Man.
I think Adam froze up. I think we lost Adam. I think Adam got so excited he got so excited to talk about the USFL that he froze up. Hey, there he's
back. I've only watched 4 games, so I can't talk too much about it, but I should be watching it more because it actually is good football.
Yeah. And thanks for joining us, Kathy. We haven't seen you in a little bit.
Yeah, it's great seeing you.
Yeah, hope all's doing well.
Yeah, it's that time of the year. We wanted to do a late show. It's been a minute. Had to keep it at, we don't want to give you a 2-week break from our beautiful faces, but yeah. So these were OTAs. Mandatory minicamp is coming up. Thank God the Vikings don't have some of this drama like the Cleveland Browns. Jesus, that was such a horrible decision to sign Deshaun Watson. I don't think he plays at all.
They did it to themselves.
They sure did, and I'm not going to feel bad for them on that. I feel bad for the fans more than anything, but yeah, that was a lot, very frustrating, and Baker's not going to play there. The Kyler Murray stuff going on in Arizona, just thank God we don't have to worry about dumb stuff like that. That arbitrary crap. Not really Vikings news, but it does deal with the NFC North. I think this is going to be Aaron Rodgers' last year of football, guys.
Why does this camouflage into the coach so well?
He does.
Hold on. That's a bold statement. I thought you were going to say his last year in Green Bay. You said last year in football.
I watched a lot of stuff, and I'm definitely drinking the here and now Kool-Aid, so this is recency bias. But he says, I think about retirement all the time. Like, I don't think there's much more he has to prove. He's a surefire Hall of Famer. The only thing, and I hate giving Mike Florio any credit. The days every day that passes, a couple guys I don't like more and more, and Mike Florio is one of them. He's not even a tool. He's the entire toolbox. I am irritated as shit by him, but it's a good point. Is one of his YouTube videos. I think he had. I can see his face, but I can't think of his name. I'll find it. He said, if him and Tom retire the same year, Tom's going to take that show, and they're not going to. Aaron Rodgers is going to be an afterthought, and you know how much Aaron Rodgers likes his Aaron Rodgers and likes his attention, and wants to have his party about him. So, I think it's hilarious too, just the irony of him morphing into Brett Favre when he used to shit on Favre so much. He's like a carbon copy of him now. It's hilarious.
So, if they retire in the same off season, they would both be eligible for the Hall of Fame first year at the same time.
And they're both going in immediately.
Do they? That's an interesting thing to think about. Does Aaron Rodgers want to share that spotlight with Tom Brady?
No,
not a chance, because he doesn't add up. And Aaron's an all-time great. I honestly put him in the top 10 in my personal top 10 quarterbacks ever. He's been good every year he's been in the league, and he's been really fucking good. And yeah, he doesn't hold the torch to Brady because of the accomplishments.
So I was getting roasted in the comments of one of my articles, and I got to ask you guys about this because I don't really. I mean, I'll defend my opinion, but I'm open to hearing others. So a while back, I wrote an article about the most difficult quarterbacks that the Minnesota Vikings are going to face this season.
Okay.
At number 1, I put Aaron Rodgers. At number 2, I had Josh Allen. Now, I was getting absolutely roasted for not having Allen first. Do you guys think I was wrong?
No. And here's the thing. You know what it is, Adam? This is exactly what happens. I've already differentiated what these people are thinking, what your intention was, and the way I perceive it in 3 seconds. When you say one or the other, people act like you put Rodgers at 1 and Allen at 15. These guys are about this far apart in the league, right? Allen's more mobile now because he's younger, and don't get it wrong, he's a fucking stud. He ain't won an MVP. He ain't won a ring. And he has leveled out his consistency because those first 2 years were, woo, man.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt. He's a superstar quarterback. But
I mean, Rodgers was the MVP of the league.
And get it this, he won it 2 years in a row. And this was what I was talking. I think it might have been. It's not Albert Breer. What the hell is that guy's name that was on Forio's show? He had a great point because I'm stealing his take, but it deals with this conversation. He's won it back to back. If they go 13-3 again or 13-4 without Devontae and Scantling and all that, and they just have Joe Schmo, he'll win MVP again.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. If they get the number 1 seed in the NFC, which they can totally do because Brady will get like the 2nd or 3rd, and then they'll make it to the NFC Championship. We already know that. If they win the 1 seed again and he doesn't have Devontae, he'll be the first quarterback since Brett freaking Favre to win it 3 years in a row. Easily. The dude is he's just stupid good at football. And he's not as invested anymore.
Right, and I don't know if this factored into your thought process, but it would with mine. Green Bay is a divisional opponent, and we also face Aaron Rodgers twice.
What'd you say?
I said you face Aaron Rodgers twice in a season because he's a divisional opponent. So, of course, he's going to be more difficult.
Well,
Jason,
since we're talking about people we don't like watching, I did not watch this, but I did see the graphic for it. Recently, Nick Wright, someone who I am not a huge fan of, he posted up his predictions for records for every team in the NFL.
I know what you're going to say.
He's got the Vikings going 8-9, which it could happen.
Yeah.
But he has the Bears with a very interesting win number. Do you want to guess what that is, Mr. West?
I'm going to imagine he's got him at like a 10 or 11 win team.
11 wins for the Chicago Bears.
No.
That happens. No. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit won that many games and the Bears didn't.
They had the Lions with 6. And I think that's fairish. That's if Goff plays well, because I'm not a Goff believer.
No, I'm not either, but
if you went through, I'm always curious, if you went through and added up all of his wins.
But the Bears lost Hicks and Robinson and all these star players, and their quarterback still hasn't proven to be able to pass the ball.
They're starting right now. I don't know if it's going to change after camp. Their starting guard is Dakota Dozier. Are you shitting me? Right. Are you trying to get Justin Fields killed? Are you kidding me?
So while we're talking about people we don't really care for, Nick Wright is on my list of, I think, trying to say some shock things to try to get some attention.
Here's my point, Adam. You will like this one. You know that mathematically there's only so many games that are possible for teams to win in the NFL. Yeah. Like, I would be curious to go through and, like, if you totaled up his win total for all the teams, like, is this even possible for us to get to these win totals?
Oh, yes.
You know, for a team to win, another team has to lose. Like, we all can't be 10-win teams.
Right.
Yeah.
Jason, we didn't get to do it because we got too spirited. I won't not let the joke win in this situation. That is a hilarious comment, but I will defend myself. These videos are all in one, and this was like 2 days ago.
Oh.
It's a YouTube suggestion, and I was like, I'm not going to listen. And then it had the Vikings on there for something, and I was like, I'm going to click on this.
Well, that's where they get you.
Fucking got me, man. I just hate him because he claims to be a Minnesota fan, and I thought I was pessimistic. That dude shits on the Vikings like that's his toilet. Like, the whole U.S. Bank Stadium is his toilet. And I'm like, dude, just be an analyst. Don't even say that you like a team. Because he doesn't have anything nice to say about the Vikings ever. He's just a super pessimist. It's annoying. No, you're right. All those talking heads are annoying, but they are entertaining. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
I don't watch them for information. I watch them for entertainment.
For sure. There's some points. We'll keep you guys updated. Are you guys ready to wrap it up? We've been talking for an hour now. This is wild.
That'll happen sometimes.
Good stuff.
We come in here with not much to talk about, and we just end up keeping going.
We'll keep you updated like we always do. If there are any injuries, any transactions, anything fun that happens from camp. There's already been some cool stuff happening from camp. I heard the other day Adam Thielen made this amazing one-headed catch in the end zone at the corner or on the line somewhere. It's like Thielen doing Thielen things. I didn't even get excited about it. I'm like, yeah, he's the shit. We know this.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
Sleeps on this guy, and we're like, this guy has 24 touchdowns in 2 years. Like, what are you talking about? So
it's also on the same respect.
He's no Darnell Mooney.
I've also heard some people picking apart some videos of, oh my God, Kirk Cousins threw a pass that doesn't look too good. And it's important to remember that they are installing an entirely new offense and defense. And from what I've heard from reporters that have been at camp right now, even like Justin Jefferson looks a little lost right now. Like, players are still having a lot to digest out there. So it's okay if a pass is a little wonky or whatever. Guys, we're not even at training camp. We're at like voluntary. This shit is like voluntary right now.
But you know those coaches' buttholes are walking around like that.
Yeah. Well, too, can I echo that point too, Kyle? This has been talked about because Adam Thielen was on the Pat McAfee show recently. It's very entertaining. You guys should go watch it. And he's saying, what I love most about what Kevin O'Connell is doing for the offense is a lot of this stuff is going to be lined up out of the same formations, which is, he's like, I'm looking at index cards trying to remember stuff. And he shouted out Quizlet. Shout out to Quizlet. That's how I made rank in the military. I studied that shit for like months on my phone. You can do digital flashcards, right? So a lot of this is, they're going to take a lot of the concepts from the Los Angeles Rams.
Right.
Everything's going to look the same, and then it's going to unfold 18 different ways from one formation. And that's a lot to learn. There's a lot of language, and the length of the plays are really extended, but that's a good thing. That's wonderful. That means the offense is going to evolve.
And here's something I thought was fun, too, before we wrap it up. Kevin O'Connell said that a new school way of thinking, sometimes you let players name formations because a lot of it is just completely arbitrary. There's no reason to call it Spider 2, Y Banana, Cross, X, Shallow, Barbara, Bumblefuck.
It looks like a spider, man. Don't you see it on the card?
Right. He said that sometimes you just let players name here's the play, here's the formation. What do you guys want to name it? And that works out so much better because, oh, hey, we came up with it, and now I remember what it is. And it's like, duh, why wouldn't you do that?
I could be totally wrong on this. You could be totally wrong, Kyle. Adam could be dead wrong. But these little details of including people and making them feel like, I'm not saying this to sound like a boomer or like Clint Eastwood, like, get off my lawn, you pussies. Like, I'm not going to say that, right? It's not how I feel inside. You don't want to coddle a generation. These are generational athletes. You need to be a professional at some point. You need to be able to take criticism. But those little things of, okay, when you mess up, it's not the end of the world. You're not the worst person on the planet. You're never going to recover. It's the lift up that I love. And these little things like taking the team to top it off. I mean, shit, we used to do in the military, man. We'd have times where we had a project due, we had something to do in 4 days, and they're like, we're going to the lake today. And we're like, what? They're like, yeah, we're not talking about anything we're doing. We're going to go act a fool because you need to decompress. And yeah, I think it's smart. I think for what these guys wanted, and they asked the team to do, I was just thinking about that.
It's like in Top Gun.
Go play shirtless volleyball on the beach, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
But I think the inclusivity is really, I don't know, man. I think it's cool because all you have to do, your employer doesn't have to come back and match what you're saying, but if they'll at least listen, they've listened to these guys. So at the minimum and the floor is, well, we give you what you wanted. You wanted to be heard, and we listened. So
yeah,
we'll see. But the players seem happier now, like noticeably happier, which is cool because you don't want to feel like you're in the freaking military when you go play a football game. It's just a game, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, it is a job too. I mean, I understand that It is an employee situation, and you are there to do a job. But again, a workplace where you enjoy working doesn't feel like a job. So hopefully these players can feel a little bit more open and willing to be themselves and less afraid to mess up.
Boom.
I agree, man.
Speaking of work,
Yeah, I put out articles over on the Viking Age every once in a while over on Undead Walking. I do stuff there. I hope to get a little bit more involved in Twitch. In the next day or two, I'll be doing I believe, 75 package opening on Overwatch. So if you're an Overwatch fan and want to see me try to get some really rare, cool stuff, I'll be giving that a whirl. We're hoping to start back up some of our movie review podcast over on my Twitch account, the MN Viking Zombie. Hope to have Mr. Smith there with me on that. There's some pretty cool horror movies coming out. I believe the last one we did was X, and boy, that was a fun watch.
that was one of the better reviews because it's kind of like my favorite reaction channel on YouTube is these two guys in Vegas, Lost in Vegas, and they say it on there. They've done hundreds of videos and like you guys love it when we love stuff. So I feel like the interaction we get is when we all agree, and we all agree that was some film. We were blown away because we set the bar a little lower than we should have for that movie. We were excited, but no, I hope the next one we pick is just as good. We'll see.
I do have my GoFundMe that's still running right now for some home improvements. I still have a lot of work that needs to be done on the house. So if you can head over to any of my social media, I believe on Facebook or Twitter, I have the links posted there. The Vikings community has been really cool. I just posted a new link for it today to share it. And many of the really great Vikings organizations, as far as beat writers and community writers, have been amazing with it. And I really do appreciate all of that. Daily Norseman retweeted, Purple Pain, Viking Age, a lot of really cool things that I even if they can't donate, the appreciation of having my campaign shared feels really good. So I would like to get this house back to where it feels somewhat normal. And sadly, financially, I can't do that at this moment. So if you can help, that would be absolutely amazing. Also, want to add that my Twitch is sponsored by W Energy Drinks. You can check out W Energy Drinks. They just came out with some new flavors. There's some cool new tumblers. Check them out.
I love that you got to do a plug just now. I'm so proud of you. Rooting for you, dude. I really am. Adam Carlson's a nice human, man. You guys go help him out with that. You know who else is a nice human? And he'll put a squirrel on a freaking pillowcase or a shower curtain? Kyle West will. He absolutely will do that for you. He'll be that guy.
Can you get Adrian Peterson on a pillowcase?
You can get him on a phone case. You can get him on a T-shirt. A coffee mug if you like. You can get Purple People Podcast swag.
Can you get him on a G-string?
I don't know.
By God, we're gonna fight to find this for y'all. There is that one fan who needs this. Go buy stuff.
Adrian's also low on cash, so you can probably get him on just about anything if you.
Dude, he's only 351 yards away. Well, I'll round it up to 360 just to be safe. He's only 360 yards away from passing Barry Sanders. Some teams find him this year. Go get him. He'll be right under Frank Gore. He's already top 5 all time, but I want him to get past Barry. That would be cool. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame anyways, but it'd be cool. I know he loves Barry Sanders. He said it many times. That would be sweet.
Yeah, you can check out Kyle West's art page. It's pinned to the top of our Facebook page. Give it a click. Check it out. Find some stuff you like. Order it up. Put it up in your house. Give it as a gift. Or just keep it for yourself and hide it and love it. All great things. On that note, I do want to thank everyone who joined us in the chat. And Kyle Smith, because he's been doing some pretty cool music shows.
My bad. I'd plug it anyways. Nobody here is going to be around Charlotte, but I'm playing live shows this year. I am playing Monday night in Bessemer City, North Carolina. You can follow my social media here, and I'm trying my best to post more and more cover songs. They're gaining a little traction now, which is fun, and some people I never thought they would see them have reached.
You got to get some live streams, man. Get your show streaming up on Twitch and stuff like that while you're playing.
I can actually we can do that from this StreamYard account because I have mine up there. So maybe I'll live stream my show Monday. But thank you.
But yeah, thanks again to everyone who joined us in the chat. We love having you guys here to talk Vikings football with us, or really just talk anything with us because we just love talking. We turned the show into an hour 5, so I don't know how we did that. So thank you for that. We'll probably be back within the next week or so.
Oh, no. I'll wait for him to come back.
I think I went bye-bye.
Yeah, you're back. We heard that. We're gonna let you stick the landing, man. We're gonna wait.
My internet will hopefully get better. In the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.